about the recent DSA fine imposed on X. I have actually some questions about. We've seen on X itself by the CEO of XAI, Elon Musk, some claims about how the fine was calculated. I think I already asked this question on Friday, but I do assume that maybe some details are clearer now. Elon Musk said that he was fined as a person, and I would like to actually understand how the fine was calculated, who was the ultimate surface attack area for this fine, and also whether we have established who is the provider of X services. So essentially the question is, how was the fine calculated, what's the surface, and who's the provider according to the TSA? Is Musk right in saying he was personally fined?
Allow us to reiterate and clarify the reply to this question. Thomas.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Jan. I can recall what I said on Friday. These claims are simply wrong, to start with. So, how did we do? You have a corporate structure that you have to identify every single time. This is the case for competition cases, it's the case for the DSA, it's the case for the DMA. Before coming to an end decision, you have to identify the corporate structure of a company. I can give you a bit more details on this. You have in charge of X, of course, the Irish subsidiary, XIUC. We have identified also as part of this X Holdings Corp, XAI, as you rightly mentioned, and Mr. Elon Musk. That's for the corporate structure. The calculation of the fine has nothing to do with the corporate structure. We look at the breach, we look at the nature of the breach, the duration of the breach, the recurrence of the breach, the gravity of the breach. These are the 4 criteria. Based on this, we come to an amount, and the last step that we're doing is making sure that this amount doesn't exceed the 6% ceiling foreseen in the legislation for the provider. So if you ask me again to whom that decision was addressed, that decision was addressed to the entire corporate structure that I just gave you, but it has nothing to do with Mr. Elon Musk himself. We don't fine individuals. This doesn't make sense, and this is not what the Commission is doing.
And it's worth repeating, we don't fine individuals.
Any reaction on the fine that was imposed to X by the European
For what?
Union? To X, to the platform X, the fine that the
That was
European
pretty
Union
amazing. You're talking about, is that European Union, or is it, who did that? European Union or UK?
the European Commission.
Whoa, that's a nasty one.
Do
I
you
don't
consider
know.
it an attack?
Elon has not called me to ask for help on that one. But no, it's a tough thing. I don't think it's right. No, I don't think it's right. I don't see, how they can do that. No, I'm not. I'll speak about it later. I'm going to get a full report on it. Look, Europe has to be very careful. They're doing a lot of things. We want to keep Europe. Europe is going in some bad directions. It's very bad for the people. We don't want Europe to change so much. They're going in some very bad directions.
120 million euros. That is the price tag the European Union has just slapped on Elon Musk's X. But is this really about consumer protection, or is it a calculated attack on free speech? Today, we are looking at the European Commission's first major strike under the Digital Services Act. They claim X deceived users. They claim the interface is a dark pattern. But when you peel back the layers of bureaucratic language, the reasoning behind this fine starts to look incredibly thin and, frankly, alarming. The bulk of this fine centers on the famous blue checkmark. The EU argues that X is deceiving you. They claim that because anyone can buy a checkmark now, users are being tricked into thinking these accounts are verified identities, similar to government officials or celebrities. Let's be honest for a second. This argument relies on the assumption that the average internet user is completely incompetent. Everyone on X knows the game has changed. For years now, the blue check has meant premium subscriber. It signifies that someone is paying for a service. not that they are a verified global authority. By fining X for this, critics argue the EU is effectively policing how a private company chooses to design its subscription model. They are treating European citizens like children who can't distinguish between a paid badge and a public figure. But it gets darker. Elon Musk didn't take this lying down. He fired back with a serious allegation. He claimed that the EU offered him a secret deal. The terms? If X agreed to quietly censor speech and follow the EU's narrative guidelines, there would be no fine. Musk refused. If that claim is true, this 120 million euro fine isn't a penalty for bad design. It's a punishment for disobedience. The EU also cited a lack of researcher access to data as a reason for the penalty. On the surface, transparency sounds good. But in reality, this often means giving government-approved NGOs and activist groups direct access to the platform's internal data. Critics fear this is simply a backdoor for state-sponsored entities to monitor narratives and pressure the platform into censorship under the guise of safety. This fine sets a dangerous precedent. We are watching a bureaucratic body in Brussels try to dictate the user interface and business model of an American company. It raises the question if they can fine you millions because they don't like the color of your checkmark. What happens when they decide they don't like the political opinions being shared on your platform? This looks less like regulation and more like a desperate attempt by a continent that has failed to innovate, trying to control the companies that did. What do you think? Is the EU protecting consumers, or are they overstepping their boundaries?